Live, local, late breaking. This is 4029 News at 5.
Good evening, I'm Allison Wise.
And I'm Brandon Evans. Welcome to 4029 News at 5 o'clock. We're going to jump right in and get to your Get Ready Weather forecast. Another nice January day, plenty of sunshine. Let's see what Darby has to say about it.
Well, hey, yeah, beautiful weather for sure. When we take a look at those current temperatures out there right now, mostly 40s to around 50. We got to 50 in a lot of cases across NWA today, and certainly in the River Valley as well. Nice mild afternoon. And we melted a lot of what's left as far as the snow is concerned. We're going to melt pretty much the rest of it, I think, the next 2 days as we warm up even more. We'll talk more about that aspect of the forecast and when to expect that next batch of Arctic air. That's all coming up, Allison.
Israel and Hamas have agreed to a ceasefire deal. We've been following this breaking news that mediators announced today, pausing a devastating 15-month war in the Gaza Strip.
So the deal comes after weeks of failed negotiations. It promises phased release of dozens of hostages held by Hamas, as well as the release of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners in Israel. It would also allow hundreds of thousands of displaced people in Gaza to return to what remains of their homes. Also would flood badly needed humanitarian aid into a devastated territory.
Millions of Southern Californians remain on edge. Another round of dangerous fire weather is forecasted. The wildfires have killed at least 25 people and destroyed thousands of homes. FEMA opened disaster recovery centers immediately, receiving more than 40,000 applications for assistance.
President Biden going to deliver what could be his final primetime speech of his presidency. It's going to be tonight at 7 o'clock. You can see it right here on 4029.
With the TikTok ban set to take effect in a few days, people using the app are looking for alternatives. They're pushing aside security concerns by downloading one of China's most popular apps, RedNote. It was the most downloaded U.S. app in the App Store, the most downloaded app in the U.S. App Store on Tuesday. The TikTok ban is set to take effect on Sunday unless the Supreme Court blocks it. A Springdale man who ran the nonprofit called Second Milk to feed children in Africa is facing multiple felony charges, including wire fraud.
So tonight we're learning more about the case. 4029's Valerie Zhang live in the newsroom. Valerie.
Brandon and Allison, according to federal indictment, the prosecutor says Jason Carney and his wife, Lacey, made false claims to donors and diverted donations for their personal use, spending money on things like travel, home payments, car and boat loans, personal credit accounts, and cosmetic medical procedures. The CEO of Second Milk, Jason Carney, was booked into the Washington County Detention Center on January 10th. The federal indictment lists more than 100 instances where prosecutors say Carney emailed bank employees to move money from a nonprofit account to an account under his control. And according to one example, in 2019, Carney solicited a $30,000 check donation for a, quote, construction project in Malawi, Africa. And days later, he withdrew $16,000 in cash. And then a few days after that, he bought a $15,000 car for his child, which he paid for in cash. The prosecutor is also arguing that Carney knowingly gave false information about the number of children the nonprofit was helping. Jason Carney's next court date is virtual meeting tomorrow. Jason Carney was released from jail on the 13th, and we've reached out to Carney and his wife, but haven't heard back yet. Live in the newsroom, Valerie Zhang, 4029 News.
We'll get to your Get Ready Weather forecast. The meltdown in terms of snow is continuing, but we're still seeing overnight freezing temperatures. Darby Bybee's joining us again. So
Darby, we've got another chilly night on tap, but we have quite the warm-up Thursday and Friday, right?
Oh, absolutely. Big time. Tag on about 5 to maybe as much as 9, 10 degrees on top of what we saw today. And we'll really warm up tomorrow and maybe even a little bit more Friday. Now, out there right now, we can see the colder air is shifting off to the northeast. That southwest wind bringing in that warmer air mass from Texas and Oklahoma. And, as we go toward the evening hours, the sun goes down. We start cooling off. It's not going to cool down particularly fast because we do have that southwest, a little bit of a southwest breeze. But eventually, we'll be in the 20s to around 30 in the morning, so dipping below freezing by tomorrow morning. Not unusual for this time of year. Tomorrow afternoon, warmer than average for sure. Highs, I think actual highs in the mid-50s across northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. And then could be even a little bit warmer for Friday despite some increase in cloud cover and a spotty shower possible late in the day, Friday night. That front pushes through, Colder air starts coming in Saturday with highs in the 30s and 40s. Highs in the 20s to around 30 Sunday. That cold air just keeps on pumping south into the area. And then we watch for a system trying to get going as we go into early next week. Could it have an impact on us, or will it stay to the south of us? Well, we're going to talk more about that, what to expect the next 7 days. That's all coming up, Allison.
The third day of the 95th Legislative Assembly is coming to an end. Lawmakers have already filed more than 200 bills.
That's right. 4029's Brett Rains shows us some of these proposed laws that are being considered, including bills filed by one of our local representatives.
Representative Scott Richardson has filed several bills ranging from keeping teachers safe inside classrooms to teaching students about gun safety. And one bill would allow some people convicted of felonies to have their gun rights restored.
I was talking to a teacher. I introduced myself at her door and couldn't help but notice a very large and very ugly looking black eye, and that this was the second time in less than 5 days that this particular student had attacked her.
Representative Scott Richardson from Bentonville filed House Bill 1062. It would prevent a student who is violent towards a teacher from returning to that teacher's classroom.
Turns out that this is an epidemic across our state and across the nation.
Richardson also filed bills that would require schools to teach about what he calls the perils of communism, as well as teaching kids about gun safety. House Bill 1117 would require public schools and the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission to teach age-appropriate lessons to students about the dangers of firearms.
It does not allow for guns to be in schools. Children being accidentally shot with firearms. It has happened. It happened just last year in my district in October.
House Bill 1057 would allow a person convicted of a nonviolent felony in Arkansas to possess a firearm after their conviction has been adjudicated for 10 years. Richardson said he made the proposal after being contacted by someone who had a felony overdraft conviction decades ago.
It was a mistake, and yet now they're a felon in the state of Arkansas and forbidden from owning a firearm. These are types of felonies that are nonviolent. They should have these rights restored.
And there's a wide range of proposed new laws. One bill would provide free lifetime hunting and fishing licenses to truck drivers who help stop human trafficking. Another bill would prevent the sale of human body parts that are meant to be cremated. Now, as of right now, out of the more than 200 bills that have been filed, we're still waiting to see the ones for the governor's top priorities, eliminating the grocery sales tax and for making higher learning more accessible. In Fort Smith, Brett Rains, 4029 News.
2 Arkansas high school students are getting the chance to participate in the U.S. Senate Youth Program. They're going to join Senator John Boozman, Senator Tom Cotton in Washington, D.C. That'll be March 1st through the 8th. Now, the students are going to attend meetings and briefings with senators, the president, Supreme Court justice, cabinet leaders, as well as others. Each delegate also going to receive, get this, a $10,000 scholarship. That's amazing. Congrats to these local students.
If you live in Springdale, you may notice your water utility has increased. The new rates went into effect this year. And if you look to the 2024 price of 1,000 gallons used to the start in the new year, it increased nearly 57%. And then they'll go up again in October by 20%. And then again in the years 2026, 2027, and 2028.
Well, Allison, let's take a live look at Capitol Hill. That's where Donald Trump's pick to lead the Justice Department faced some tough questions today. So Pam Bondi, she's a former Florida Attorney General, defended her record to Democrats, some who fear that she'll weaponize the law at President-elect Donald Trump's request. Now, meanwhile, Bondi and Republicans claim that that's what the current administration is doing. 4029 Washington correspondent Christopher Salas has more on today's hearing.
This was an extremely partisan hearing, with Republicans praising Pam Bondi's performance, while Democrats say her answers did not alleviate their concerns. Trump's pick for Attorney General said if confirmed, she would not politicize the office, but she also didn't rule out investigating current Justice Department officials. President-elect Donald Trump's pick for Attorney General laying out her vision and blasting the department she seeks to lead during her confirmation hearing.
I will fight every day to restore confidence and integrity to the Department of Justice and each of its components. The partisanship, the weaponization will be gone.
Pam Bondi and Senate Republicans accusing the current DOJ of prosecuting Trump for political reasons.
Ms. Bondi is highly qualified. And of course, as we all know, a change is desperately needed.
But it was Democrats questioning if the longtime Trump ally would push back against him if he asked to prosecute his perceived enemies, as Trump often stated on the campaign trail.
You have no intention of pursuing people on the basis of them being a political opponent.
No one will be prosecuted, investigated because they are a political opponent.
Democrats pressing Bondi on her comment, saying as a result of the prosecutions against Trump, quote, the prosecutors will be prosecuted, the bad ones. The investigators will be investigated.
I'm just asking whether you would consider Jack Smith,
Senator,
to be one of the people. How about Liz Cheney?
Senator,
how about Merrick Garland?
I am not going to answer hypotheticals. No one has been prejudged.
And asked if she would recommend pardoning January 6th rioters convicted of violent crimes.
I will look at each case and advise on a case-by-case basis.
And Bondi also refused to answer when asked if she would enforce the TikTok ban that's set to go into effect this Sunday. President-elect Donald Trump has asked the Supreme Court to put that law on hold. In Washington, I'm Christopher Salas.
Other confirmation hearings that you can expect include Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, John Ratcliffe for CIA Director. So far, the Republican-led Senate has been falling in line with Trump's choices. Well, it's been several months since tornadoes ripped through northwest Arkansas. Rogers was one of the hardest hit, and that community continuing to rebuild.
Ahead at 5, what the city's doing today to help get things back to normal.
We're going to leave you for now, though, with a live look outside River Valley over the Arkansas River. And when we return, Chief Meteorologist Darby Bybee tracking a big drop in temps later this weekend.